Family, day 3 of our getting over the stronghold of unforgiveness. I was just saying, God, did it have to be 21 days? Couldn't it have been 7 days or even 3 days? But I get it, because this is an issue that most of us have been walking with for many, many years, and it has the potential to be there for a long time. So it's only fitting that we purge it over these 21 days. It's a good number for really us to get to our next level with this issue and just get over it completely. So, as promised, today we're dealing with what forgiveness is not. What forgiveness is not. I know a lot of people are going to be thinking, what are you saying? Should I keep forgiving somebody who keeps hurting me over and over again? Well, the simple answer to that is yes. We must forgive people over and over and over and over, because God forgives us over and over and over and over. And I'm reminded of the conversation that Peter had with Jesus in Matthew 18:21-22, when Peter said, how many times should I forgive someone? 7 times? When he said 7 times, in his head, Peter, that's a lot. Like 7 times, my God, like that person is really going out of their way to offend me now. But then what did Jesus say? He said, no, not 7 times. I can imagine how Peter was celebrating in his mind. Like, at least Jesus will probably say 3 times or 5 times. But Jesus came back and said, no, not 7 times, no. 70 times 7, meaning over and over and over. But family, there's a difference between forgiveness and trust. And that's what we're going to be dealing with here today. You can forgive a person for however many times necessary, but trust is important, because trust is either earned or lost over time. Now, there's a saying in our African language, isiZulu, that says, umenziwa akakhohlwa, umwenzi owakhohlwa, meaning that something wrong has been done to me. It's hard for me to forget. But the person who's done the wrong, they will forget easily, because it wasn't done to them. And I'm sure this resonates, because that's just how human beings are. But what does this mean? I think one of the most important things that we need to do as believers is help our brothers and sisters to understand the depth of the thing that they've done to offend you. Most of the time, what I've seen is sometimes people offend others without even recognizing that they're offending them. Sometimes people do things to hurt others that, they were just joking, or they were just kidding around. And the reason sometimes it festers so long is because the person who has been hurt does not take up courage and say, I don't like it when you say something like that to me. Please, can we not, can you don't say things to me like that. It sounds hard. It sounds like a confrontation, but I promise you it will help, so that the other person also knows how to treat you. They also know what your limits are, and I've tried it and it works. So there is what else? So everybody starts with, if you can work with me here, if there was a trust or meter, right? Each and every one of us in each other's lives, we start on 100%, which is, it's full. The trust meter is full to the brim. But as we walk together, it's either that trust will remain full and now become more, lovely and delicious to walk with each other. But because we're human beings, sometimes when you do stuff to one another, the trust meter goes down, and it goes down, and it goes down. Then it becomes incumbent upon the person who is offended to build that trust, earning that trust, filling up the trustometer again. So it's a process. I remember when I was young, my mom and I, my whole family, we grew up on doing Bible study very passionately. And when we read 1 Corinthians 13, I said to Mom, like, so you're telling me that I'm not supposed to hold any records of wrongs? And she says, yes, you're not supposed to hold any record of wrongs. And I was like, okay, then, so that means if we have a cousin or a friend who steals and is prone to stealing, you're not right for keeping the money away when they visit. Because if This person has stolen 5 times from you, and you, when they visit you, hide the money. It means you're not doing what 1 Corinthians 13 is teaching us. And I remember at the time my mom said, no, that's not what it means. I hide the money, I put it away because I'm protecting them so that they don't have that urge to steal. And I'm protecting us or me so that I don't feel the hurt of the pain of him picking up that money from the table. As a young child, I had an argument with my mom, like, no, that's not what it means. Because if you really forgive them, you will put the money out. If they steal it, you forgive them again. You keep putting the money out. But now that I'm older and I understand the concept of trust, I get it now. Those were the ramblings of a child, because in reality, trust is broken sometimes. And when it's broken, it takes some time to build it up. So the process of building up that trust protects both yourself as the person who was hurt, something was stolen from you, somebody said hurtful words, and also it protects the person who is on the other side as well. You don't want them to fall into the same trap or temptation or the same situation where they do that same thing to you. So now the question is, can trust be built over time? I truly believe it can. I believe that even if somebody has broken the trust to 20% of your trustometer, you can actually have them build more of that, and it can get up to 100% full capacity. And this is a sensitive issue that we all need to pray about in our own hearts. That woman who's being abused by her husband and keeps forgiving them over and over. I'm not saying stay in that place. It's dangerous. But I'm saying allow that person, until you get help, I'm leaving this marriage. Until you show that you want to change, I'm leaving, because otherwise that woman will lose her life. But what I'm saying is trust can be built over time again. As human beings, we can't do it. But through God, it can be done. I'm reminded of Philippians 4 verse 18, where God says, where Paul says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Meaning by myself, I can't do it. But with God who strengthens me, I can. And what about Matthew 19 verse 26, where we are learning Jesus is saying, with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Or with God, nothing is impossible. So I believe that the people who've offended us, we forgive them immediately. Trust takes time to build, but it's possible for us to get back to a good place in terms of trust with the people who've offended us. So I hope this helps to answer the question of what is forgiveness not? Where do you draw the line? How do you get yourself out of harm's way? How do you allow your brother or your sister to build trust with you again? And how do you eventually get to a place where that memory of what they've done is just a mere memory? It doesn't affect you anymore. It's not a trump card you wave out every time they do something remotely similar to what they've done in the past to hurt you. It can all be done. So the practical steps that we're going to have for today is that same list of those people who have hurt you. I'd like you, remember, you've already forgiven them by faith. You've cancelled it out. I want you, next to each and every one of their names, write a number of trust and a percentage number of where your trust is with those people. Sally has hurt me, over and over. I think she's on 20%. I need to stay away from her. Yes, do whatever you need to. If you just distance yourself a little bit as they build the trust, that's fine. But I want you to write a number there next to their name and say, I'm praying for the trustometer that I have with Sally to increase. I'm praying that the trust that they have shattered or they've destroyed over time to build up. That is the activity that we're going to be doing for day 3. Blessings, family, and I hope this is helping. I know God is helping me through as I go through this with you, and I hope the journey is really something that God can use for us to get to the other side of unforgiveness, which is what? Forgiveness and living a full life in Christ. Blessings, family.